Welcome to Walters, where our 24 self-pour beer wall awaits. Ask your server for a beer card and hit the beer wall. Pay by the ounce and try a few suds before you settle on your favorite.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Here's a pitch. Trey Lipscomb bounces one through the hole into right field. Ruiz will score from third. Rosario on his way to the plate. The throw, the slide. Safe. He does it again. The oven mitt on the left hand. And that one stung a little bit because Wong kind of landed on him. But he got the hand in there again with the slide to the back of the plate. It's a single to right on the first pitch for Trey Lipscomb. And 2 runs batted in. And the Nationals a 2-out rally here in the top of the second inning with 3 hits in a row. It's Washington 2 and Boston nothing.
Here's the set at the belt. The kick and the pitch. Strike 3 called. Fastball outside corner. Caught him looking. Duran's going to question the call of the home plate umpire. Garcia gets a huge strikeout. And the Red Sox leave the bases loaded in the 6th.
Now the set. Runner goes, the pitch. Swing and a line drive toward the left field line. That will drop in a base hit in front of O'Neill. All he can do is throw it into second. Lipscomb across the plate with run number 5. And Victor Robles in his first game back in the lineup since going on the injured list a couple of days into the season has a 2-hit game and drives in a run. And it's the Nationals 5 and the Red Sox 1.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Saturday, May 11th, 2024, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. For a third consecutive series, the Nats have won Game 1 of the series. Friday night, a 5-1 win at the Boston Red Sox in Game 1 of a 3-game series, giving the Nats 9 wins over the team's last 13 games and improving the Nats in this regular season to 19-18, including 12-8 on the road. Good things are happening with the Nats right now. If you would like to sponsor the Nats Chat podcast, for which there is a new episode for the morning after every Nats game day, email Tim Shovers at natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can sponsor the show for a specific game or a series or more. Mark, multiple themes for the Nats on Friday night. We had the 2-out theme. The Nats scored 2 runs in the top of the second, a run in the top of the third, and 2 runs in the top of the ninth, with each run-scoring inning happening after each of the Nats' first 2 batters in the inning was retired. We had the stolen base theme. The Nats won 5-1, despite being out-hit by the Red Sox 9-8, as the Nats had 4 more stolen bases, 4 for 4. The Nats, for this regular season now, a major league leading 66 stolen bases. And we had the pitching theme. More good pitching by the Nats. They allowed just 1 run. You know, the Nats came into Friday 3rd in the majors in pitcher WAR per Fangraphs for this regular season at 5.3. Yes, number 3 in the majors. I'm sure that you can come up with some other themes, but man, the Nats are rolling right now.
And this is the way they win games. Like, I feel like we've seen this game how many times already this year. Maybe the only difference this time, well, 2 differences are, number one, that they tacked on at the end and made it so they didn't have to use Kyle Finnegan in the 9th. And the second thing that was different about this one is Patrick Corbin got the win finally for the first time this year. But I'm thinking to myself, if you're a Boston reporter who's there or somebody at the game at Fenway and you haven't followed the Nats at all, This game told you everything you need to know about who the 2024 Nats are. They're going to put pressure on your defense. That's both stolen bases and also just forcing the issue with contact and trying to take extra bases on hits and balls in the dirt and all that kind of stuff. They're just going to ask for 5 innings out of their starting pitcher, and then they're going to turn it over to a whole lot of relievers and ride them all the way to the end. And this is a formula that is working more often than not, and it's a fun brand of baseball to watch. I'll admit it. This has, to me, been more exciting to watch than a lot of previous iterations of this team.
I know the Nats have given up some runs lately, but the overall pitching numbers for this team are good. And it feels like game in, game out, the Nats are getting respectable outings from starting pitchers, albeit, 5 innings and change, maybe 6 innings. But to see Patrick Corbin, right, the worst of the Nats starting pitchers this season, 1 run in 5 innings, the Nats right now, you just talked about the formula. That formula does include a starting pitcher going out there and doing at least a decent job. And more often than not, we are seeing these Nats starting pitchers go out there and do decent jobs. In some instances, a lot better than just decent jobs. But this to me has been really impressive and I guess kind of underrated because there's been a lot of focus on some other aspects of the Nats. But the starting pitching in some ways is leading the way right now.
Yeah, and I think you don't tend to think of it because they are, for the most part, going 5, maybe 6 innings. So there aren't a whole lot of starts so far this year that you could look and say, man, that was a great start by whoever that was. Mackenzie Gore had a couple of them. Obviously, Mitchell Parker's debut. I think Jake Irvin had that really nice one in Oakland. But for the most part, they're just doing what they need to do to put the team in position to win. And that's fine. I think we all would have agreed coming into the season, what would be your number one biggest concern? Probably the rotation. And when Josiah Gray has 2 bad starts to open the year and then goes on the IL, you're thinking to yourself, this could really be a problem. And instead, it hasn't been a problem at all. It has been a strength because I think they're just doing what they need to do. They're not trying to be anything more than they're supposed to be. Give them 5 quality innings. Make pitches when you need to. We've discussed how they're not walking hitters. That makes a huge difference. I think they're not giving up home runs, obviously, is a huge difference. They're just minimizing the damage. Get the game into the second half of the game. Hope your lineup has scored a few runs and given you a lead, and then turn it over to the bullpen. And so while, there's nobody in that rotation that you're saying, oh boy, this guy's really been fantastic. And, I know Trevor Williams' numbers are great, but as we've discussed, it's very limited because of the way they use him. They're all just getting the job done. And even in Corbin's case, as bad as the overall numbers are, he's had a couple of blow-up starts, but for the most part, he's giving them innings, and most games he's actually given them a chance. This one, he was even more than that.
I mean, the fact that the Nats come into Friday 3rd in the majors in pitcher WAR per Fangraphs, like how many people would have anticipated that? And of course, they're doing this without the guy who was their best starting pitcher last season, Josiah Gray. He's missed almost, he's missed more than a month now with his injury, and yet still the Nats 3rd in the majors in pitcher WAR. A good bit of that is the bullpen. Corbin, though, on Friday night, solid. 1 run in 5 innings. Now, he gave up 7 hits, which were 2 doubles and 5 singles. He issued 1 walk. He recorded 4 strikeouts, 86 pitches, 54 strikes, 32 balls. He only had 1 clean inning, but the run prevention was there. Davey Martinez got Corbin the heck out of the game after 5 innings, and Corbin, during his appearance, benefited from a terrific defensive play. Bottom of the 1st inning, Victor Robles, your starting right fielder on Friday night.
2 on, 2 out, bottom of the 1st. Corbin sets, kicks, delivers. Swinging a line drive to right, going to be a base hit. Robles has it on a hop. They're going to send the runner. Here's the throw to the plate, and it's offline. Ruiz coming up the line to get it and makes the tag. He's out at the plate, and the inning is over.
Playing in his first game since being reinstated from the 10-day injured list this past Tuesday afternoon. Robles, bottom of the 1st Friday night, an inning-ending outfield assist. He on a 2-out opposite field single to right field by Connor Wong fired a throw home that was up the third base line, but credit to catcher Keibert Ruiz, a terrific diving tag to tag out Tyler O'Neill for the 3rd out. What a play that was.
Yeah, a strong throw, not a perfectly on-target throw, but a strong throw. And if you're going to miss from right field, that's the place to miss, up the line on the third base side, not up the line on the first base side. And great play by Keibert Ruiz, no doubt about it. And we were going back a little ways here, but in Nats history, there's been a history of catchers who were not very good at receiving those kind of throws and making the tags. So for Keibert Ruiz, for all whatever faults you want to talk about him defensively and certainly offensively, he struggled this year. That's a great play. And I know the outfielder gets the credit with the assist on that, but I think that play was as much, if not more, what Ruiz did than what Robles did. And what a, momentum shifter. You got the Red Sox thinking they're going to take an early lead on a pitcher with an ERA north of 6. Instead, they get out of that jam on a great defensive play. And I know they had a blip, a couple of games there with the errors, but I think we both agree defensively, they are playing well, certainly better than we've seen from them in the past. And Robles in right field is a weapon. That's a nice thing to have. And I think it came into play in this game on more than one occasion.
And with Lane Thomas out, you have a guy in right field in Robles who can throw runners out. And Robles certainly did that in that moment. Some more on Robles coming up in a bit. But Corbin, 1 run in 5 innings. And then it was time for the Nats bullpen. 5 Nats relievers on Friday night combined for 4 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts. Now, the 5 relievers did combine to issue 4 walks and did give up 2 hits. But you'd get 4 shutout innings from 5 relievers. Hard to complain about that. Derek Law faced 5 batters, did get just to 2 outs in. The bottom of the 6th gave up a 1-out single and then issued back-to-back 2-out walks. Robert Garcia, a big out generated by him. He faced 1 batter. He got the out. It was a big out. Came in the bottom of the 6th with the bases loaded, 2 outs. Nats holding a 3-1 lead. Garcia struck out the Red Sox's number 1 batter, Jarren Duran, on 6 pitches for the 3rd out. Then we saw Hunter Harvey in the bottom of the 7th in a high leverage spot. He tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 7th and facing the Red Sox's numbers 2 through 4 batters and Rob Refsnyder, Tyler O'Neill, and Rafael Devers. Dylan Floro tossed a perfect bottom of the 8th. You mentioned recently maybe we're seeing Floro elevated in that Nats bullpen hierarchy. Well, interestingly, he got the bottom of the 8th on Friday night. And then Jacob Barnes for pseudo mop-up duty. An interesting inning, a scoreless bottom of the 9th, 3 swinging strikeouts. You love that, although he did give up a leadoff double and did issue a 2-out walk. But, ultimately, some nits to pick, but 5 Nats relievers, 4 shutout innings, getting the job done.
Robert Garcia having the lefty again in the bullpen and giving Davey the ability to do exactly what he did there. Even when Derek Law got into trouble, you have your lefty to bring in to face their lefty at the top of the lineup. Got out of that jam with a big strikeout. Get him in, get him out. That's perfect. It's the classic Loogie situation in 2024 to be able to do that. And I love the use of Hunter Harvey in the 7th inning. You don't have to paint by numbers. That was the big part of the Red Sox lineup. It's a 2-run game. Put your best reliever there. We've talked about how, yes, Finnegan is the closer, and certainly he's earned that and has pitched extremely well, but it often feels like Hunter Harvey is the one who gets the biggest matchups, certainly prior to the 9th inning. So I really liked the usage there, and then let Floro handle the 8th with the guys behind that. And when it came to the 9th, this is where I always find it tricky. I don't know what the right answer is. In the top of the 9th, you're up 2 runs, so Finnegan's warming up. 2-run game, safe situation. They start getting runners on base, and so, well, hey, we may tack on here. Let's get another guy warming, so Jacob Barnes starts warming. They add on the runs, and now it's a 5-1 game. So obviously you don't need to burn your closer up 4. The problem is the moment that Barnes gets in any trouble, you got to get Finnegan up again and start warming. So he actually warms up twice without pitching. I know it's not quite the same thing. It's not the same intensity, but that is still work on his arm, especially on 2 occasions. I don't know the right answer. Do you just, because he was warming up, do you just let him pitch with a 4-run lead and finish the game? Or do you say, no, it was important to keep our closer, give him a little bit of a breather there? In a perfect world, Barnes doesn't get in any trouble and you don't even have to think about warming Finnegan up again. That's the one thing. And I don't fault Davey. This is what managers do. Like, I get it. I just don't know what the right answer is there, whether to just let your closer pitch even with a 4-run lead, or just sit him down and then don't even have him warm up again and let, Barnes make or break it in the 9th.
Well, not pitching him presumably saves him for a day, maybe more. So I would think not pitching him is the right answer. What kills you there, or at least hurts you there, is that Barnes gave up that leadoff double. If he gets an out or 2, then if he gives up a double, you say, okay, keep going. We don't have to warm up Finnegan. It's that he gives up the leadoff double that prompts you to warm up Finnegan, which was unfortunate. It's funny, the overall numbers in terms of ERA and WHIP for Finnegan are favorable to Hunter Harvey. But if you dig a little deeper, strikeouts, walks, etc., Harvey is having the better season as compared to Finnegan. It is interesting. It's Harvey who gets deployed in those non-9th inning high leverage circumstances. It's not Finnegan, even though I think a lot of people would say, just going by the eye test, Finnegan has been the Nats' best reliever. But to your point, Davey uses Harvey in those spots, basically never uses Finnegan in those spots, at least this season.
Right. And I think it's acknowledgement of the stuff that Hunter Harvey has to get big time hitters out. Finnegan's been phenomenal. I just wrote about him on Friday morning. I mean, he hasn't given up an earned run since that game in Cincinnati on March 31st. Hasn't given up a hit since April 12th, I think it is. It's 11 consecutive hitless innings. So he's been phenomenal, no doubt about it. But that true power arm, you can put him up there against any hitter. I think there is actually more faith in Hunter Harvey. Now, the fascinating question would be if it ever came up where, say, it's a one-run game and going into the eighth, it's the, 7, 8, 9, 8, 9, 1 hitters. Would he ever use Finnegan there and save Harvey for the ninth to face the heart of the order? We haven't seen that come up yet. There were times last year that was the case, but Finnegan wasn't quite as established at that point. So I'd be interested to see. My hunch, given how well Finnegan's done, you don't want to mess around with anything there. You don't tempt fate and have him pitch an inning earlier. So my guess is they would still do it, Harvey in the eighth, Finnegan in the ninth. But I did like the way he did it in this game. Clearly, their best hitters are up in the seventh. It's a tight game at that point. Go to your big power arm in the seventh.
And if you are tracking Hunter Harvey appearances, he now has appeared in more than half of the Nats games this regular season. Nats are 19-18, 37 games. Harvey now has 19 appearances. Derek Law now has 20 appearances. The relievers are being leaned on a lot, but the relievers by and large are coming through.
The next Nationals homestand begins on May 20th for a 3-game series against the Twins, followed by 3 more versus Seattle. Check out Game Time for various ticketing options, as there are tickets as low as $3 at the moment when they play Minnesota. Game Time offers the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NATSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Now the pitch. In the dirt. Gets away from Wong. Here comes Rosario to the plate. He dives and he scores again with that left hand going to the back side of the plate. He loves sliding and touching the plate with the left hand. And the Nationals add insurance on the wild pitch. Rosario scores, lifts him to second, and the Nationals lead 4-1.
Well, the Nats offense in this 5-1 win at the Red Sox on Friday night, like I mentioned in the opening portion of the show, nothing but 2-out rallies for the Nats in this game. 2 runs top of the second, 1 run top of the third, 2 runs top of the ninth. Each run-scoring inning happening off each of the Nats' first 2 batters in the inning being retired. It was interesting watching these innings develop because it looks like a quiet inning, and then all of a sudden it is anything but, and the Nats get things going in the inning. Multiple Nats stood out offensively speaking in this game. We did see another productive game for Eddie Rosario. This is something. This guy was about as ice cold as you can be, and he now is hot. It is incredible how his season has turned like on a dime. So Rosario on Friday night as an starting left fielder and number 7 batter, 2 for 4 with a double, a single, and a stolen base. He in that Nats 2-run second had a 2-out first pitch double to right field. Rosario in the Nats a 2-run ninth, a 2-out first pitch single to right field, and he on the very next pitch had to steal a second base, and in a classic example of speed making all kinds of things happening, that stolen base prompted a throwing error by the Red Sox catcher Connor Wong, advancing Rosario to third base, and then Rosario scored on a 2-out wild pitch by Red Sox reliever Kenley Jansen for a 4-1 Nats lead. Eddie Rosario is becoming an offensive force for the Nats here.
They all said just get through April. He's always bad in April. Let him go to May and it'll turn. And guess what? It has turned as dramatically as you could imagine. In April, he's 3 for 57 at the plate, an .053 batting average and a 185 OPS. And you and I talked about it a lot. And I know fans out there were saying, when are they going to give up on him? Davey Martinez said, you can't give up on a guy like this. He has a track record. He's always been a slow starter. Give him time. Well, what happened when the calendar shifted to May? He's now 8 for 20 in May. 8 hits in May after only 3 hits in April. He's hit 2 homers, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, 3 stolen bases just in this month alone. So he's batting .400 with a 1228 OPS in May, and he looks like a completely different player. And it's not just the hits to me. It was the base running, especially in the 9th inning. You're already ahead. You don't want to do anything stupid. What's he do? He's aggressive, forces the throw. The throw gets away. He takes third. And then, leading off third, he reads a pitch in the dirt that didn't get that far away from the catcher. But he very astutely noted that Kenley Jansen had his back turned and didn't even realize that Rosario was breaking for the plate. And so he did, and he scored on a ball in the dirt that I don't think a lot of base runners score on from third. Certainly not one that you don't think of as a classic speedster like Eddie Rosario. So all the credit in the world to him for that aggressiveness. It's been amazing to see the way he has turned this all around. I guess we shouldn't be surprised because this is who he has been in his career. It was just so extreme in the opposite direction in April to see what he's now doing in May. Good for him. Good for the Nats for sticking with him for now, obviously.
Perhaps this is 2021 Josh Bell, the ice cold start to your tenure as a Nats position player, and then you really get going. And maybe, just maybe, we're seeing that with Eddie Rosario. I tell you, the Nats in this recent tour of the American League East are inflicting all kinds of harm on these AL East bullpens. We saw the Nats do it in winning 2 out of 3 over the Toronto Blue Jays last weekend. We certainly saw the Nats do this in that 7-6 12-inning loss to the Orioles this past Wednesday evening. And we saw the Nats do this on Friday night. Kenley Jansen did not look good in his appearance against the Nats. Eddie Rosario, part of a lower portion of the Nats lineup on Friday night that did quite well. The Nats 6 through 9 batters. Keibert Ruiz, Eddie Rosario, Trey Lipscomb, and Victor Robles combined for 6 of the Nats' 8 hits and combined for both of the Nats' walks. Trey Lipscomb had himself a good game. He was the Nats starting third baseman and number 8 batter, 1 for 2 with a 2-run single and 2 walks, and he had a stolen base. Lipscomb in the Nats 2-run second, a 2-out first pitch, opposite field, a 2-run single through the right side of the infield for a 2-0 Nats lead, and he had a steal of second base. He was thrown out at home on a Victor Robles 2-out single to left field, but Lipscomb top of the 4th, a 2-out walk. Lipscomb in that Nats a 2-run ninth drew a 2-out walk. We mentioned Victor Robles on Friday night, your starting right fielder and number 9 batter, in what was his first major league game since April 3rd. It was this past Tuesday afternoon that the Nats announced having reinstated Robles from the 10-day injured list. He actually did not appear in a game until this game on Friday night. Nats, of course, were off on Thursday, but Robles on Friday night, impactful, 2 for 4, RBI single and another single. He had a stolen base, and he had that aforementioned outfield assist. Robles top of the second, 2-out single to left field. Robles in the Nats a 2-run ninth, a 2-out RBI single to left field for a 5-1 Nats lead. And he had a steal of second base. Bob Carpenter had a good line on the Masson telecast. This was not Fenway Park. This was Runway Park for the Nats on Friday night. And then Keibert Ruiz, we mentioned the good defense. He did have a hit in this game. Whatever he can do offensively right now, you're welcome with open arms with the way that he has been struggling. But he is the Nats starting catcher, number 6 batter, 1 for 4, single, did strike out twice, but he and that Nats 2-run second, 2-out, full count single to right field to ignite the rally. We wondered how the Nats might utilize Victor Robles with Jacob Young playing well. We see him in right field, and we see him hit the ground running. Took a few days for him to finally play in a game, but once he does, he made a difference.
Yeah, I think Davey was looking for the right situation, the right matchup to do it. He felt like his defense in right field at Fenway was important. Obviously, it was the great throw and also a really tough catch right up against the wall and that near the pesky pole where there's no room at all. Kind of looked like he hurt his ribs on it, but I guess he was all right. And at the plate, look, I know we've talked about this and we haven't seen a lot of him the last 2 years, but when he has played, this is what he's been doing. Not striking out, working good at bats, drawing walks, putting the bat on the ball, and then when he gets on, running the bases well. And it's only 9 plate appearances he's had this season, sandwiched around the long IL stint. He's reached base in 5 of those 9 plate appearances, 3 walks and 2 hits. And it's why I want to see more of him. I don't know if this means that he has turned a huge corner in his career, but I would like to see more of it. Now, again, I think Davey's trying to pick the right matchups for him. He's not just going to start him every day. He felt like this was a good one for him, and obviously there were defensive reasons to play him as well. But it's been really nice to see, albeit in little pockets over the course of 2 years around all the injuries, but it's been really nice to see him doing what everybody has always wanted to see Victor Robles do.
The play on which Trey Lipscomb got thrown out at home, the Victor Robles 2-out single to left field in that Nats 2-run second. What'd you think about that play?
I didn't love the send only because left field is so shallow at Fenway Park that you're naturally positioned closer to the plate than you would in any other ballpark in America. But I guess what you say is it's clear these guys are going to be aggressive and force the issue and make the defense make plays. So it is consistent with what they're trying to do. To me, you take that chance if it requires a really good throw, a perfect throw. I felt like this one just required a decent throw. He was out by a lot. I know he was also complaining about the catcher blocking the plate. I feel like Wong, the catcher, kind of was straddling the plate, but then once he had the ball, he put his knee down. You're allowed to do that once you have the ball in your possession. So I didn't love it, but I understand the reasoning for being aggressive there. I think in most cases it's all right to do that. I think it was more the circumstances of where they were in that ballpark than anything that it made it an easier throw than it would be from left field anywhere else.
Few other offensive notes for the Nats on Friday night. Joey Meneses as the Nats starting first baseman and cleanup batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI single. Meneses in the Nats 1-run third, a 2-out opposite field RBI single through the right side of the infield for a 3-0 Nats lead. We did have yet another extra base hit for Luis Garcia Jr. He on Friday night as the Nats starting second baseman, number 3 batter, 1 for 4 with a double. Garcia in the Nats 1-run third, a 2-out first pitch opposite field double off the left field wall. And, it was a few weeks ago that we said that as C.J. Abrams goes, so go the Nats. I don't know that we can say that anymore. C.J. Abrams is struggling a bit here. He has cooled off, and yet the Nats are winning. Abrams on Friday night as the Nats starting shortstop and number 2 batter, 0 for 4. Your C.J. Abrams slash line now for this month of May, batting average of 171, on base percentage of 189, a slugging percentage of 229. Now, he was bound to cool off. You don't want to see him cool off to this extent, but I actually find this kind of encouraging. He's struggling, and yet the Nats are doing just fine. That's actually a very good thing if you frame it in a certain way. Obviously, you want to see Abrams get back on track, but that they're not really suffering because of this, I think says a lot.
Right. I mean, think about much of April, it was C.J. Abrams and Jesse Winker were kind of leading the way. And now neither one of them's hitting the same way, and they're still finding ways to score runs because of other guys. So that is encouraging. Yes, you want to see him get it back on track. His batting average for the season is down to 264, which is kind of surprising when you stop and consider that. It does kind of coincide with him moving into the number 2 spot in the lineup and Jacob Young taking over the leadoff spot. And I don't want to get too deep in this and think that it has that much effect, but we know that as much as it shouldn't matter where you're hitting the lineup, sometimes psychologically it does. And when you mess with that, when a guy's going well, it can change things. Now, I understand the rationale behind doing it. I think Jacob Young's done an excellent job in the leadoff spots and taking over. So I don't think that's been a bad thing to have him there, but you hope it's not negatively impacting Abrams. I guess the one good sign is that the other night in the ninth inning, he comes up and had the huge clutch hit to tie the game. So it's not like he's gone ice cold completely, but he's certainly not doing what we had seen from him in the past. I just want to mention here real quick, Luis Garcia, the double. It's a hustle double where he didn't give up on it. It's essentially a pop-up to left field that anywhere else is an out. But he knew it might go off the wall at Fenway. And so he hustled his way into second base. And then he scores from second on that Joey Meneses single that was just knocked down by the second baseman. So again, heads up, aggressive base running. Pretty much every run they scored in this game was a result of being aggressive on the bases. It's a philosophy, but it also requires them to be paying attention and to put it into practice. And Garcia was one of the guys who did that in this game. I was really glad to see that.
And with CJ Abrams, if you're curious about the splits when he bats in the number 1 spot versus when he bats in the number 2 spot, Abrams this season as a number 1 batter, 948 OPS for the regular season. Abrams this regular season, number 2 batter, 502 OPS. So there is quite a difference between the two things. It is, a relatively small sample size for Abrams in the number 2 spot, just 7 games. But he has cooled off, and yet the Nats continue to win.
Hi Nats fans, this is Tim Newmark, DC area composer, longtime Nationals fan, and proud composer of the Nats Chat podcast theme song. If you're enjoying the music and would like to hear more, check out timnewmark.com/streaming or just search for Tim Newmark wherever you listen to music. To find the rest of the song you're hearing now, search for the title Double in the Sun. Go Nats!
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this podcast. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. At hundreds of locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/bluewire to learn more and find a center near you. That's unifydhealing.com/bluewire. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
Barnes to the belt. The kick and the pitch. Swing and a miss. Blows him away with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. And a Curly W's in the books here in Game 1 of this 9-game, 3-city road trip. Off to a good start at Fenway Park.
So Game 2 for the Nats at the Boston Red Sox in this 3-game series is on Saturday afternoon. That is a 4:10 first pitch. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. And as was the case in the series against the Blue Jays at Nationals Park last weekend, you win Game 1, you win the Patrick Corbin game. So you actually set yourself up, right, quite nicely for another series win. You have Jake Irvin going in Game 2 and Mackenzie Gore in Game 3. Now, Gore did struggle in his last outing, but Irvin and Gore, two of the Nats' better starting pitchers overall this season. The Nats are in prime position for another series win here.
That would be great. You know what else would be great would be a second straight win. They've kind of been on an every other game pattern here for a while. Get to 500. They finally got over it. Then they lost the game. Now they're back over it again. It'd be nice to get the 2 games over 500, of course. But yeah, you're positioning yourself really well. When you win the Patrick Corbin game and you now have Irvin and Gore in the finales over the rest of the weekend, it's a nice position to be in. And we're seeing them take on all comers here. I know the Red Sox aren't great, but they're playing all right. They've had some of the best pitching in the majors, including Tanner Houck, who came in with a 1.99 ERA. They put the pressure on him. They scored early on him. And then they ran that formula that has worked so well for them. It's been weird to see them play so many American League teams, but in a way, I'm kind of enjoying this because you're getting a better sense of how they stack up with others. And for the most part, they're playing good teams during this stretch. So to me, it's nothing but encouragement how they've looked here over the last couple of weeks.
Well, we last September saw the schedule stiffen and we saw the Nats fall off quite a bit. The Nats, remember, last season had that very good August, and it was not unlike the feeling that people have now. But we did talk about, hey, the schedule is about to stiffen a bit. Let's see what happens in September. Sure enough, schedule stiffened, and the Nats struggled. Well, here we are early in this season. You are in a stage of the season in which you're still trying to figure out, okay, who exactly is good, who exactly maybe isn't as good as we thought. But as much as we can tell, the Nats are playing some decent, if not really good teams, and the Nats have a winning record here at 19-18. So I think that perhaps does represent some progress. The Nats last September got beaten up by some of the big boys in baseball. The Nats so far this season, as best as we can tell, and facing some big boys more than holding their own.
Think about who they've faced and who they've had some success against. The Dodgers, the Astros. I know the Astros are having a bad year, but there's a lot of talent there, and it's hard to believe that they're as bad as they've looked right now. The Rangers, defending World Series champs. Blue Jays, a perennial kind of contender. The Orioles, obviously a good team. And here, at least in Game 1, the Red Sox. It's highly encouraging to me. What we haven't really seen is them play a lot against the NL East. So let's see once they finally face the Braves how that all goes. But you know what? Take your wins now, and maybe you go into that series at the end of the month, I think it is, and you're riding a little wave there and you're feeling good about yourself. And even if you drop 2 out of 3, it's not the end of the world because you've created some cushion for yourself. And I can't believe I'm even talking about the Nationals creating cushion for themselves, but here we are with them over 500 in the middle of May.
Well, that could be a very big series. Nats at the Atlanta Braves for a 4-game series, May 27th through May 30th. And then the Nats face the Braves at Nationals Park in a 4-game series, June 6th through June 9th. So some things to be thinking about if you are a Nationals fan. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can email the show, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube. Just search Nats Chat. Our YouTube handle is at Nats Chat Podcast. And please click on the thumbs up button and please click on subscribe. We very much appreciate that. We have a website that we invite you to check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can buy a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Houck checks the runner. Now he fires. Swinging a soft ground ball right side. This may sneak through. Grissom, their diving stop, will throw to the plate. Garcia trying to score, and he is in there with a hand tag on the back corner of the plate. It's an RBI infield hit with Grissom fielding it in shallow right. And a squirting ground ball gives the Nationals a 3-0 lead.
Everyone is talking about magnesium. It's all you hear about. But why? What do we know about magnesium? Well, magnesium is the #1 mineral that 75% of Americans are deficient in. If you are a woman over 35, magnesium will help you rediscover balance, energy, and vitality. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those involved in hormonal balance. From functional medicine doctors to mental well-being and female hormone experts, we all know that magnesium is the one mineral to improve all aspects of well-being and health. But which one? Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, the trusted choice recommended by leading experts with 7 best-absorbed forms of magnesium to ensure your body receives the support it needs for overall well-being. Go to bioptimizers.com/balance today and use code BALANCE10 for 10% off. Support your journey to wellness at bioptimizers.com/balance. Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers, your foundation to optimal health and vitality.